God bless everyone out there in Radio Land. This is Embracing Marriage Ministries with Barry and Karen. And I'm Barry, this is Karen. And we're bringing you another podcast from the studios of Embracing Marriage Ministries, which is the home of the Embracing Marriage Together and Dare to Be Different podcast. And tonight we're going to be talking about different stuff.
Yeah.
So, hello, wife.
Hey, my wonderful husband.
Well, like we say, once again we're here. There we go. That sounds better. Once again we're here, and we're just sharing with you the Word of God that God has blessed us to share with each other, you, and like I say, we're just here once again to talk about the Word of God and talk about relationships, different things like that. Yeah. Well, like I say, we had a pretty. Well, let me say this. I ain't gonna get in all that. Let me say this. In case you're looking at this on YouTube, which you will be, check it out, like, share, and subscribe. You can go also check more information about the different platforms that we're on. Under the picture here, you have the website, which is embracingmarriagetogether.wordpress.com. You can go there and check us out. We have links to our podcast and also to the other platforms that we're on. And you can check us out there and see what you think of us. Comment, like, share, subscribe, whatever. Follow. Also, you can follow. We have a follow button on the actual website. You can follow us there, and you can follow all our different posts, because we actually post on our website, and we post on our Twitter, and we post on our Facebook, and different things like that. So we're everywhere. And you also get like an email post when the blog posts. It sends you an email if you actually have an email attached to it, because it sends us ours, because we follow our own self, so we know to see how it actually reacts. So when I upload everything, that like to last night we uploaded our other one, and we got to tell you the story again about what happened to the other one before that.
Yeah.
But what ended up happening, as soon as we uploaded the last podcast yesterday, it showed up the same day, of course, and it also made it showed up everywhere, pretty much. It showed up all over the place. So when we did that, it was neat to see. Now I think the only one that didn't show up real like right away, I think was I think it showed up later on. I think it was the Google Play.
Yeah.
Yeah, it took a bit, and but everything else was instant. Twitter was instant, Facebook was instant, everything else was instant except for the Google Play.
Yeah,
I think
it showed up though. I seen it.
It showed up, but it takes a little longer than the others, but it usually shows pretty quick, and everything else is pretty immediate. But you get it pretty much. Whatever we do tonight, you'll get it the same night, or you'll be able to listen to it on the next day. So last night we were talking about wisdom. We did a podcast and we called it "Get Good," and it came from. If you didn't happen to listen to the podcast, it came from a term and using gaming. I heard a guy say that a lot. They're talking about get good, but we was talking about getting a good understanding. Where it came from Proverbs 4:7, which was talking about wisdom is a principal thing. Therefore, get wisdom, and with all you're getting, get understanding. My wife added good to it.
Yeah.
So when she had it good, it made me think about get good. So that's why I titled it. Get Good, a lesson of wisdom and understanding. So you go ahead and check it out there. Get good. Get a good one.
Yes, get a good.
Yeah, good understanding. So that's the reason why we call it Get Good. It's G-I-D, this G-I-T-G-U-D. Get good. So that's how I get it. All right. So tonight we're not talking about getting good.
No.
We talking about keeping your heart. That's gonna be actually be the podcast name is talking about keeping your heart.
Mm-hmm.
Because because on that same chapter, actually, it's talking about the keeping of your heart in the same chapter of Proverbs 4, where we got this other scripture, and so we're gonna read that one, and we'll go into it. Proverbs is 4. Starting at 23rd verse, it said, "Keep thine heart with all diligence, for out of it are the issues of life.
Mm-hmm.
Put away from thee a forward tongue, a forward mouth, and perverse lips put far from thee. Let thine heart look right on, and thy lids look straight before thee.
Mm-hmm.
Ponder the paths of thy feet, and let all thy ways be established. Turn not to the right hand or to the left, and move thy foot from evil." So that's the word for tonight.
Yes.
But the one we're gonna focus on is keep your heart. And my wife kind of looked up a few things on that, and we're gonna deal with 3 things in that particular scripture. We're gonna deal with 3 things.
Mm-hmm.
Number 1, we're gonna deal with the heart.
Yeah.
So the Hebrew word for heart, which is I gotta use the pencil tonight. It's acting up. Why is it unstable? There we go. All right. Is everything do what it wants to do sometimes?
Yeah.
Okay. The actual word for heart, man, there's no word. It's lab, which is L-E-B, is lab. L-E-B, lab. Lab, which is inner man, mind, will, heart, understanding. That's what we was talking about last night, talking about understanding. Understanding is the ability to comprehend or to discern. That was another word they used for discernment. So the heart is the seat of that. The seat is the inner man. It's the seat of the mind, the will, the heart, or the emotion, and the understanding. So understanding is actually in the heart, not in the mind. Like people think it's the mind.
Yeah.
But see, the Hebrew people, the Jews, sorry y'all, the Hebrew thought behind that was they separated the two. It wasn't our concept of it would be soul, which would be the Greek concept would be suke, which would be soul. Theirs is heart. So it says the inner part, midst, number 1, midst of things. Number 2, heart of man. Number 3, which they said 2, soul, heart of man. 4, the mind, the knowledge, thinking, reflection, memory. 5, inclination, resolution, determination of will. 6, conscious. 7, heart of moral character. The seat of the appetites, and 8 it says seat of the appetites as seat of emotions and passions as seat of courage, and that's the Hebrew thought behind heart. So when he says keep, which we looked up the word keep also, which means to guard, to watch over, to keep as watch, to keep a watch over. To I think is another term that they use that I like too. To keep, observe, and guard with fidelity. To keep secret, to be kept close, blockaded.
Wow.
So you to preserve to guard from danger. So you guard your heart, to guard the seat of your emotions, the seat of your will, the seat of your mind, the seat of your understanding, the seat of your conscience, with all diligence. So you guard everything. You make sure you keep it safe. To keep it safe from what? see, that's the thing. It's
Yeah.
talking about what are you keeping it safe from? It say, for keep your heart with all diligence, with all watchfulness. The word actually does mean it's a place of confinement or prison. Mishmar was the word. A place of confinement, prison, guard, jail, guard post, watch, observance. Now you're looking at this thing this is like a prison term, basically. So you would keep it locked away. So you're telling you say to keep your heart locked away, because that's basically what it's saying. Keep your heart, your seat of your conscience, guard it while it's locked away. So for out of it are the issues or the forces. The actual word is forces of life. So to try to bring this all together is to say that God wants us to not to just let our heart be unguarded, because everything can come into the heart.
Yeah.
And everything can, because that's one of the areas that once you allow stuff in your heart, it gets locked up with your heart.
Yes.
So that's why it's good for you to, if you're single, especially if you're a single man or woman, both of y'all, you two single people. I'm gonna tell you, when we were engaged, our engagement was real short. We didn't stay engaged long.
No, we didn't.
As a matter of fact, this particular month was the month that I actually married her. And we didn't have any sex before marriage. We didn't.
No,
Yeah.
I laid down the law. I
yeah.
did. I laid down the law. I told him, no, we not gonna have sex. Don't ask.
Yeah.
And he didn't ask.
No. And much as
And
in my history, I had, in the past, I didn't have a whole lot of sexual encounters, but because I was more like a person. Once I get that one person, I didn't jump around to people, person to person. I stayed with the one person for as long as I possibly can, and then once that relationship run out, I go to another one.
Yeah.
That's how I did, and so I didn't have these bunches of accounts, but then I ran into a lot of them, and especially when I was really getting serious with God, when I was ready to settle down and get married. I knew that and before that, I was telling her about an incident where there was a lady that was trying to get with me, and she was married.
yeah.
And she was wanting to leave her husband to be with me. No, number one, I didn't have a job at the time. Yes, I did. I was working I was doing like a newspaper deliverer. I threw newspapers at night. I got it from my sister, and she was doing it, and I took it over for maybe about 6 months. And so I was doing that, but I worked like graveyard. She would never saw me. So I worked from maybe 10 at night to 6 in the morning. I'm throwing papers. So, and I did this 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365. There's no breaks unless you got somebody to take you out. So I did a paper route, basically. So I wasn't getting a whole lot of money. And I was living with my mom who she was living. I was staying with her at the time because I didn't have my own place. I had a car, but I ended up losing it just before we got married. I just got the thing, didn't even pay the down payment on it, so they took it. So I really wasn't a husband material at the time. That's why I think when she shared the story, if you listen to the podcast from last night, you listen to how they dissuaded her from trying to marry me because, number one, my personality wasn't that great.
No.
I was young. My personality wasn't that great. I wasn't submissive to authority at all. I had no father figure in my life at that moment because I was 28, without a father, living with my mom, didn't have a real job. And at the time when she met me, I wasn't even working.
No, he wasn't.
I was working for my father in the ministry. He owned a radio station, but I was working basically as he could give me, He was paying me, wasn't paying me like major money, But I was his graphic designer. I designed all his stuff. I made all his business cards, his schedules, his logs, his radio scheduling and stuff. So I got familiar with a lot of that stuff by working with him.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I spend hours. I mean, I go there like, what, maybe 9, 10 that morning,
Yeah.
and work till like 2, 3 that afternoon. So I did a whole shift, and then I was seriously dedicated to him along with Pastor Marks, who was with us.
Yeah.
She was his secretary, and she was his assistant. And he co-owned it with another guy who was owning. He owned his own business too, and they went in. He was a major partner, though the other guy was kind of like just invested with him.
Mm-hmm.
And so they did that for a while, and maybe not that long, but to get to the point of the whole thing, I did not have a job. When she met me, I was unemployed. God blessed me with a job once we got married. But the fact of the matter is that this woman was trying to get with me,
Mm-hmm.
all because she wanted to be with her husband, and she didn't know how to work with the relationship that you have. So when I met my wife,
Mm-hmm.
I had made a decision that I wasn't going. The next woman that I met and I was with was going to be the one I was going to spend my life with. I wasn't going to go and try to get in the draws and try to sleep with her, and then and we go through this, because I found real quick that after you do that, the relationship disintegrates.
It does.
And I don't care who you are, I don't care how long y'all been together. Once you have any kind of sexual relationship, that relationship changes.
It does.
Especially if you have kids. Mm-hmm. I've seen people, they got a young lady I've met talked to today who had just been married only a few years, but she was engaged for 7 years. That is foolish.
Yeah.
If that man can't marry you within, a short period of time. And now here's another thing. I've seen it also on the opposite end. Mm-hmm. I've seen people been together for long periods of time.
Yeah.
And they get married and they divorce inside of 6 months.
Yeah, we see that a lot.
You've seen that a lot.
Yeah, we see that a lot.
And we also know a young lady who had forced this dude to marry her, who was a father of one of her kids. They got married, and now I don't know what the status is of that. Mm-hmm. So sometimes it's good, sometimes bad. But everybody's relationship's gonna be like that. Mm-hmm. Ours is like that. Yours is like that. Unless you just from heaven and you're divine and you fell straight from God Himself, and like Adam, God just made you, and you just was on the earth when Adam was here, and you never had a sin in you, never had a disagreement. There is no way. I'm sorry. There is no way that you can that you being together as long as you have been. You cannot tell me that you never have an argument. No, I've heard some people say that foolishness.
Yeah,
I'm like, okay.
I'm like, how? I mean, I'm
but
like,
there are some people. There are a handful of people on the planet that have.
Yeah.
Yeah, they that have never had an argument. They never had a, not major to the point where it broke them up or it, divided them. But they got, they might have had a fuss a bit, and then they got to deal with
some kind of disagreement.
You're gonna have it. Yeah. Because when you have two people trying to get together and become one, there's gonna be some friction. And if you believe that you might be saying, well, me and my husband never had an argument, or my wife never had an argument. Either one is just letting it go.
Yeah.
And just, you're just saying, hey, whatever you want.
Okay, baby, yeah. Then sometimes you say, yeah, okay, baby, whatever. Yeah. You do have people that's like that.
Yeah, they concede and they don't want to get in no argument and whatnot. They don't put their foot down. They just let the woman or man do whatever they want.
To do, yeah.
And so there's relationships like that. We know a couple of them like that.
Yeah. And they will do whatever it takes, just so they don't have to argue or they don't have to deal with the conflict. They just don't want to deal with anything. So, and you hear a lot of them. They be like, okay, baby, whatever you want, you want, And I'm like, huh?
One thing my wife was like, she didn't want no yes man. She didn't want that.
Yeah, I feel like well, I call them, jelly back and weak.
That's a term our father ministry coined. Jelly back.
Jelly back weak.
So we heard that all our lives. We heard jelly back.
I'm like, you're not gonna never voice your opinion. You're just gonna let me have my way.
Yeah.
Just do whatever I want to do. Whether it's right or wrong, you're not gonna say, nothing.
Yeah. And we dealt with that.
And they have people. I mean, I know men like that.
Yeah, I know a couple of them like that myself.
Several men, they like that.
Mm-hmm.
Wife just run over them, disrespect them.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And they don't ever put their foot down.
Don't say nothing. No, won't speak up to themselves. Won't even say, well, baby, you wrong or just nothing. Okay. I mean, it's okay, baby.
Yeah, just okay. That's all they. That's
whatever
all they
you
got.
want. Okay, baby.
But the thing is, that's why it's good. Going back to when like I was saying, getting back around to the thought.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever you get involved like that, it does cause people to get locked up in the heart with you, because you have these other people in your life, in your heart, that you don't need in your heart.
Right.
That's why the word tells you to guard, as you would guard a prisoner.
Mm-hmm.
That's what basically saying, as you would guard a prisoner that's in confinement. That's how you gotta guard your heart. You gotta keep him from the outside. Guard him from the outside. Not only are you guarding him from the outside, you're guarding him from the inside.
Yeah.
You're guarding him from the things you're keeping him in confinement, and at the same time you're guarding him from everything from the outside world. You're separating him from the outside world. And that's what you have to do with your heart. You're not separating your heart from people. You're separating your heart from those things that will cause your heart to be contaminated.
Yeah.
That will cause your flow, your forces of life to be destroyed. I heard a lot of them teach on that, talking it was the force of love, the force of faith, the force of this and that. And I was like, well, yeah, that pretty much. But if you really kind of we'll get more into it, we'll find out what actually those issues or forces of life are.
Because I could just, share, I could think a couple of things that when I didn't guard my heart.
Yeah.
And I believe I had became hard-hearted. My heart was hard. My husband couldn't get through. He would be trying to get through. I was hard-hearted. And I even got to the point where I was cold-hearted.
Yeah.
And like I was just so emotional. He was like, you got me, you cold-hearted. To me, I'm like, no, I'm not. He's like, you hard-hearted. I'm like, no, I'm not. And you get cold-hearted. I mean, to the point where can't nobody reach you, and I had to realize it because it was issues. Yeah. And I had not guarded my heart.
Yeah.
So those things it could be so.
Yeah, you when a person becomes, and we was talking about that earlier, we was talking about how that once a person gets offended, it's hard for them to reach them. But the word even says that a brother that offended is harder to be won than a city, and the contentious are like the bars of a castle. So it's really rough. Once you offend a person, you're not gonna reach them. You might as well give it up. You know, as the old folks say, you done tow your draws with them. They pretty much. Now you ain't gonna hear a lot of old folk cliches tonight, so you just get ready. So this you pretty much have. You pretty much just messed up the whole thing. You just messed it up. But the thing is you can't win them once you offend them. Don't think that you can win a person to Christ if you're offending them by being unchristian.
Right.
And then a lot of people think, well, okay, because the way, and we was talking about how we live and will directly affect the people around you. It does.
It do.
I mean, that's why it pays for you to live for Him in a way that pleases Him, so that He can make even your enemies to be at peace with you. So they can't touch you anyway, because He already promised that no weapon formed against you shall prosper. So He already promised that He'll protect you from the enemy's hand and from his attacks. So you don't have to worry about them bothering you. The fact is that what God is saying is that He wants us to live in harmony with one another. Now tomorrow, May 3rd is the National Day of Prayer. That's usually the day when everybody prays for the nation. The biggest thing that we should pray for, and I think what I'm going to end up doing on tomorrow, is do a stream concerning, well, not a stream, but, you know, a podcast. Our podcast is going to be basically praying for our nation and for our president and for, because according to 2 Timothy, it says that, you know, He would that all that prayers, supplication, intercession, and thanksgiving with thanksgivings be made for all men, for kings and all in authority, that we may live a quiet and peaceful life in all godliness and sincerity. So what happens is the fact is that we got to learn how to pray for the people that are in leadership. Pray for this nation. Pray for God to. We got to get one of these kind of Daniel prayers where God, we messed up, our fathers messed up, and I sin too. You know, and I need you to come and bring revival. We need to really pray for revival in the nation. We need to pray revival in our nation, revival in our countries, revival in our cities, our towns. It's going to start with us, because the Bible said that it begins with us. Judgment begins at the house of God, but also revival begins there too. So if we're going to see revival, we have to first see it in the church, because that's where it's got to start. It all starts with the body of Christ. When we see revival come in the body of Christ, because we expect it to be on the outside. This is how our thinking is. It's saying we talking about we expect these things to happen on the outside. But if you really study the moves of God during the course of time, they never started on the outside. They started on the inside. It started in the house of God and worked its way out. When the church was made, it was made, and then they spread out. Persecution rose, and they started going different places. So what it is God is shaking us up to the point where we have to go out and we have to spread the message. Because if we don't spread the message, people will never know the freedom that they experience through Him. So if we just walking around just thinking, just holding it to ourselves and thinking that everything's going to change on itself and on its own, it's not.
No.
We got to do what we need to do in order to make that happen. We need to be revived. We need to keep our hearts. We need to guard them as we would guard a prisoner, and make sure that all our seat of emotions and our mind, our will, and our emotions are protected.
Yes.
From outside influences, from those things that would cause us to be bitter, to cause us to be in unforgiveness, to cause us to be in walk in malice and jealousy and pride and all this, all this other stuff that comes toward against the heart.
Yeah.
So the thing is that it also tells us to put away from you a forward word, the word forward, to keep on going. The word forward means to distorted or crookedness. That's what the forward means. Distorted. So keep away from you a distorted mouth. You ever see something distorted or perverted, or basically perverse?
Yes.
I think one kind of translation says, actually the word is perversity, but it's like a perverse mouth. And he said, keep away. It's in the next word it mentions is for perverse. It uses deviation. Ain't that interesting? We deviate from our original thing that we say. We deviate.
Yeah.
So he's saying in one thing, he's saying basically the same thing twice. A play on words, because he's using this two different words would mean the same thing, because this word is saying perversity here.
Yeah.
So he's saying, put away from you, basically put perverse or distorted or deviated speech away from you. Don't talk double talk.
Yeah.
Don't deviate from. If you're gonna say what you're gonna say, don't deviate. Don't move from that course. So whatever you say, you got to stick with it.
Right.
So don't just say stuff. Just be saying it. Say what you mean.
And mean what you say.
Mean what you say. And don't talk perverse.
Yes.
They don't mean perverse. Just don't mean nasty.
Yeah.
Perverse means that it's not it's not correct. It's not. It's crooked, and it's out of order. Crookedness, basically, is what he's saying. So
This is good.
so he say, put those words away from you. Put that stuff far from you. Don't even put it near you. Don't let it come near you. Say, forwardness of mouth and perverseness of lip, put it away from you. That's what the note says. So now the thing is in verse 25 he said, let your eyes look right on and your eyelids look straight before you. So he said, looking at you gotta look straight ahead. And the word they use for look means to regard or to show regard, to pay attention, to consider. He said, look, regard, pay attention. Pay attention to where you're going.
Right.
Because you walk in a path. And the path that you walk, you need to pay attention. So one, you need to guard your heart as you would someone as you guarding in prison. You need to guard the issues of the forces of your heart. That's what you're guarding. Your heart, and keep your heart with all perseverance, with all diligence, for out of it flows the issues of life. 2, you got to put away from you the deviated and crooked speech. Don't talk crooked. Don't deviate from your speech. Say what you mean what you say. Now that's with every relationship.
Yeah, in a loving way.
Yeah. But that's a whole different scripture. They say, speak truth in love. Yeah. So, but then also pay attention to where you go, because it says in the next thing, because you notice it goes from heart to mouth to eyes to feet. So every area of you, so what goes on in the heart directs everything else. So what's in the heart, the Bible says, comes out the mouth, and what comes out the mouth, and the mouth is a gate, the eyes is a gate, and then it's going to it's going to order your direction. So now it says, keep your heart, put away the speech from your mouth, pay attention with your eyes, pay attention to where you're going, pay attention to what's going on around you, and keep you look straight ahead. It also ponder the paths of your feet, and let all your ways be established. Your ways.
Yes.
The word for ways means the road, the way, road, distance, journey, manner. The road, a path, a way, direction, manner, habit, way, course of life. So your course of life or moral character, there's another one. So your course in life, your moral character, ponder or consider, the word that means for ponder, means to weight or make level, to balance. The word is one place, it says that an uneven balance is an abomination to the Lord, a false balance.
Yeah.
Well, the word what it means by that is, and I heard people use it in different vernaculars, but what it actually means, let me tell you what it actually means. So see, people will tell you what their spiritualized interpretation. One thing you do not do, don't spiritualize the word. If it means this is what it means.
Yeah.
The idea behind a false balance was when people went and made transactions during those times, they used a scale. They had a certain kind of weight that determined the price of the item that they used. If there was grain, they had a certain kind of weight for the other side to balance it out. So what they would do is they would use a certain kind of weight that would make it, they would balance it on one side with that weight, and then they would take off the other side to try to make it more or less, so they would fool the person in believing that this was the actual weight. Now they may change weights, or they'll keep the same weight, and it'll be a different type of weight. So it weighed out unevenly. So it was basically a false balance. So this was basically a transaction term. But if you want to use it in the vernacular today, any false balance in your life, God's not pleased with, because he's into balance.
Yeah.
He wants you to have a balanced life. And that's what this actual word means, to make level, to balance. Balance the way that you live.
This is good. Go ahead.
So you want to balance the way the way that you live, the way that you walk, the way that you talk, the matter of life that you is. Your moral character has to be balanced. Your way that you live has to be balanced. So he wants you to weigh it, level it out. Don't walk on a crooked. Don't walk on a hilly road. Make it level. Let your life be a smooth life, a smooth journey. So these are traveling terms, basically. So he would say, let all your ways be established. The word they use for establish means to make firm, to make stable. So not only do he want you to have a smooth journey, he wants you to have a stable one. So that means that you're going to ride on a cart that doesn't rock or hit holes or does stuff like that. So you got to consider, or you got to pay attention to where you're going. You gotta really consider, pay attention to where you're going, to make level, to make sure that where the path that you travel is a smooth, steady, stable path. So that means that your character has to be smooth and stable. You have to have a stable character. So that's where we going with that.
Yeah, this is good teaching.
So last but not least, we're going to go with the last verse, which is turn not to the right or to the left. That goes with deviation. It said turn, to turn. The Hebrew word for turn needs to natauj, which means to stretch out, to extend, to spread out, to pitch, turn, pervert. There is the word pervert again. It's perverted. It ain't mean nasty. That means to twist. You pervert something, you twist it up. So you get twisted up sometimes, and you get to going one way and then going another way, or you don't look where you're going. You're just looking away from where you're going. So it said to incline, to bend, to bow, to stretch out, to extend, to offer, to spread out, to pitch a tent, to bend, to incline, to turn. So it's easy, just you incline to something or decline. It can be incline or decline. So you're declining to go the right way. And you're inclining to either go left or right. So you have to make sure that your path that you travel, which is connected to verse 26, it has to not only be a smooth path and a stable path, but a straight path.
Yeah.
Because you can't go right or left. This has to be a straight path. Saying they remove your foot from evil.
Yeah.
So you get out of the dodge your foot. The word they use for foot is foot. It means foot. So remove. Yeah. The word they use for remove means to turn aside or to turn in, to depart, to turn in unto, to part and depart from away, avoid. So avoid walking in the path of evil. So basically your path has got to be straight, it's got to be stable, it's got to be right. So we're going to recap. 1, you got to guard your heart as you would guard a prisoner. You got to make sure that nothing comes in and nothing goes out that shouldn't go out. Yes. Especially coming in. 2, you got to consider where you're going. You got to pay attention to where your life is going. Pay attention to the things around you. What's affecting you? What's making you act up? What's making you twist off on people? What's making you have a bad attitude? Yes. And keep your path, look straight ahead of you. Pay attention. 3, to ponder where you consider where you're going. Consider where you're going. Make it level. Balance your life. Let it be stable. Let it be smooth, and let it be all. And going into the next verse, let it be straight. And you go in and take and don't and avoid evil. The Bible talks about we read last night. Let love be without dissimulation. To avoid that which is evil and cleave to that which is good. Cleave means to glue to. So you need to glue to something that's good. And abstain or abhor means to abstain or to push away from that which is evil. So you got to avoid all that stuff. You got to do it the right way. So that's our lesson for tonight. I know I was trying to cut it short, but I guess I got into it. So that's the lesson on keeping your heart. And we want you to know that we're here for you. We're praying for you. Of course, tomorrow we're probably just going to do a prayer. We're going to do a little lesson, then we're going to do a prayer. We're going to do a prayer for our nation, for our president, based on 2 Timothy 2. So we're going to do that. So we're on attempt to. We don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, but we'll attempt to. Let's say like that.
Yeah.
So, like I say, check out our website right below our picture here, which is bracingmarriagetogether.wordpress.com. If you're looking at us on YouTube, like, share, subscribe. If you're listening to us on the different platforms, if you see this link, click on it. Just see what we're about. The website is going to have links for our podcast, for our videos, for our posts that we have on the website. And you can check us out there and see what we're about. We have little information about ourselves. We didn't use it for that, so we don't give a big bio about what kind of accomplishments I had or what she had. It's not for that. What it's for is basically it is a conduit and basically a publishing house for all our different platforms that we have. So you can check us out on Twitter, Facebook. You can check us out on Google Plus. Check us out on YouTube and different other places where we are. We'll tell you more as we expand. We'll tell you more where we're going. So you'll just keep up with the announcements. Just follow the posts and also follow the website, and it'll give you every time we change something. It'll show it to you. So on that note, anything you want to share, baby?
Yes, and remember to guard your heart with all diligence.
That's right. Just keep it up. Just keep it.
Keep it. Let nothing in.
That's it. God bless you. We'll see you on the next time.
Good night.